Good masochist morning, playa. You can't see me at the moment because I'm totally in my epic sex dungeon chamber. I actually, believe it or not, was not the first person to call it that. Someone else totally called it that before me. I'm doing one of these good old videos that I hadn't done in a while. Alright, but please give me a moment. I'm gonna have to use the bathroom. So my trip to the bathroom, okay, that's better. My trip to the bathroom was successful. That beat's almost a little bit too loud, but it's okay. So the thing, oh right, before I really even get into like a whole bunch of shit, I want to say like all this stuff that I'm about to talk about doesn't really hold too much weight. This is all just stuff that I think about and I think is situationally healthy to think about, because realistically, if you think about all this shit, there's two ways you could go. You could come to understand yourself and understand, you know, the experience of just being alive and existing and acting and stuff, which would be great. Or you never really come to an answer, because there's always something new and the day never ends, really. You're not going to come to a conclusion. You just know how to avoid questions better, I guess. So, two ways. Personally, I feel like it's a nuance. Like, there are some things that make, you know, pretty fine sense, but nothing is really fixed in this world. Like, things constantly change anyway. So, anyway, like I was saying, doesn't really matter. All this stuff I'm about to talk about, this is just background shit. Something that kind of pisses me off, one, in parts, because I'm not afraid to admit, I'm kind of just a douche. I'm a low-key, a little bit of a douchebag, but that's internally. Like, I'll still treat you good and stuff, and like be a good person and do good things, but internally, I get annoyed, to be honest. And that's kind of like what I wanted to bring up. People ask, like, all the time. Well, not people ask, but people say shit like, I want you to love me for me, or I want something this for me, and, you know, like who they are, right, as a person and everything. And the shit about that pisses me off is that, for one, I feel like people more so say that as a whole anyway, because that's just something that you know to say. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this is what I'm here about to say. This is gonna sound really stupid and fucked up, but again, freedom of speech, and none of the stuff I'm about to say matters. The whole idea of killing yourself, we as a society, American society, have become so poised that suicide is now romanticized, right? Exactly the fucking problem. See, suicide is not a solution. It is not a way out. It is an error. It's an error of sorts. It's not supposed to happen, but it does sometimes. And to be honest, fairly honest, I understand some of the times, because if you've ever been suicidal, nothing can beat the idea of not having to deal with anything ever again anymore. Like, there's nothing. Every day that you live, you will suffer that a little bit more. Every day that you live, you'll be tired that same amount. And that trump card of just end it all, you won't have to remember anything. Like, it's just so dumb. But anyway, fucking romanticizing like suicide and shit like that, it's because there was first the one guy who did it, and then the next guy who did it, and then it kind of became almost like a trend. Like, cutting yourself, I don't know where that really came from, but I know for a fact a lot of people do it. Like, the people that are doing it, there's a good some of them that like are kind of just reaching to that to kind of give themselves a little bit of poke of identity, right? They're people who are murderers, right? I've been really considering this a lot. I've never killed anyone, you know, you could probably guess, but how murderers and like mass shooters and all that should be like, there's some kind of insatiable thirst and like hunger that they, you know, soothe when they kill people, because the kill is just so pleasing or something. I don't believe that shit for a second, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I really think all those dudes are cornballs. Like, fuck. And then there's my second theory, that honestly, it's just the indomitable human spirit loves perfect obstacles. And if you really think about it, the perfect obstacle is another person. But then there's that like ante of like getting them right then and there. That's really what I think it is. That like, it's like the best puzzle ever, but that also depends on like how you kill them. Again, I've never killed anybody. Don't take this to the feds or anything. So I get round to my other thing, like proving points of identity. people say, I want you to love you, I want you to love me for me, and da 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 and shit. And so in times like this, when I hear shit like that, because again, I'm kind of an asshole, I just break the shit right there to him. Okay, so where's the line drawn between you and everything else? Think about it. What are you? You're really nothing. I'm really nothing. We're all nothing. That's the way I've been looking at life so far. Why? Because we're all made of the same things. Remember like those old videos where I would be like, everything is just stuff, and like if you break everything down, it comes down to chemical compositions, and then you break down those chemical compositions and like shift them around and you just make other shit. Yes, everything is Legos, realistically. Everything is matter. Everything is matter. That is the base form of it. Now there's variances to this, and then time goes on, and then things happen to that matter that, you know, causes reactions and all that other shit. The only difference between us and matter is that we act. We have ideas and we do things and shit. Think about it. Jeffrey Dahmer and me. Jeffrey Dahmer is dead. Jeffrey Dahmer was born in like the 50s or something. Jeffrey Dahmer killed dudes. Jeffrey Dahmer ate people. Jeffrey Dahmer didn't see anything wrong with the way that he was. I don't do anything like that, but you know, I see some things wrong with the way that I am. I will admit, sometimes I just wake up with this insatiable, you know, guilt just over me. Like every waking moment, like there's this like little closet full of guilt for no reason, really. I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people have that, and like you just kind of got to accept that, you know, none of us are perfect. And that's the thing, we're all people. We're all people as humans. We're all definitely people. I'm alive this way, you are alive that way. Things that will benefit me will probably not benefit you. If we can find a common ground and continue doing that, then that would be great. But we're all just egg. You remember that one post that was like, if you're white or brown, we are all just some egg? It's quite literally that, right? So again, I ask, what is the separation between you and everything else? Your opinions? Okay, how much do your opinions weigh? Like, what will your opinions change? What will your opinions make? You know, like, what will your emotions make? What will your reactions really make? They bring about feelings. They bring about more feelings. Feelings and emotions and, I guess, ideas, these are contagious amongst us humans. And that's not even exactly natural. It's kind of nurture. You know, we learned to do that way back in the caveman times. When everybody else is scared, you should probably get a little bit scared too, because that might help you. When everybody else is happy, dude, that feels great. So let's just all be happy. You see, it's a mirroring kind of thing that we learned to do way back in the caves a long time ago. Let me light my cigarette, bro. So yeah. Where was I? Right. Last time. No, this is not the last time. What draws the line between you and everything else? My opinion, again, which probably doesn't matter, likely doesn't matter, because it's probably not going to change much. My opinion is that your actions is who you are, dude. And I swear I don't remember even what video I may have said this in, but I totally said this before. It feels like your actions make up who you are, right? Jeffrey Dahmer is remembered because of what he did. Jeffrey Dahmer changed bits of the world, his little corner of the world, based on what he did. Now, I'm not making this whole video about Jeffrey Dahmer. Let's make it about Fidel Castro. I can only think of like people who are seen as kind of bad. No real good people. Okay, Gandhi, fuck it. Gandhi's an iffy character at places. The perfect dude. Nobody can say anything about him. Keanu Reeves. Look at his actions, man. All he does is go around spreading love and positivity, minding his business and shit. Those actions, to me, are the ones that matter. Every moment that you go throughout life, I try to remember, or like in my life, I try to remember that the way that I have lived every second of my life, everybody else has lived every second of their life and have been forming thoughts and opinions and ideas and reactions and like fail safes to each situation that they will come in, you know, contact with. So, like, another little bit. A lot of the times when people say this whole shit about like, you know, love me for me, one of the things that's brought up is the idea of them being in like a bad mental state. It doesn't matter if you're in a bad mental state more than anyone else, to be totally honest with you. What's different about your bad mental state compared to like the president? I guess nothing beyond your responsibilities, and that goes into your actions. your lifestyle, the things that you are in control of. Actions, bro, the things that you do. If you are aggressively doing nothing, which I catch myself aggressively doing nothing quite often, bro, like, you have kind of a lot of time to wonder. And that's why I say a lot of these things that I talk and think about, like, really don't kind of matter, because what, say I do find some kind of answer to all these, like, little weird questions I bring up to myself, then what? You know? So, really, I guess, like, the main idea is, like, if you're one of those people who's, you know, going on this whole journey of, like, self-searching, what are you really looking for? Honestly, because think about it. If you want to claim that your true self was you as a kid, right? It could make sense, because these are your first reactions to everything. But then, you gotta, bring in the influences. Like, think about the way that you are. The world and everything on it was here, and then there was shit that was here before that. You came after, like, all that shit, and, like, there was shit before that shit. You are not a raindrop. You're a ripple. Oh, dude, my battery. My bad. You're not a raindrop. You are a ripple. We're all ripples. Nobody is a raindrop, all right? And, like, I look at it like we're all the recoil. We are all recoil. We are not the collision or the shell casing or anything. We're the vibrations. So, when you think back to, like, I had to come to this, myself. I was trying to think, like, what is my true self? Was it when I was a kid? Not even really, because you were taught things as a kid. You were taught to do this, and then, yeah, sure, you know the things that you like, and those are the natural things within you. Like, weird thing, ever since I was a kid, I always knew I was gonna love drugs. I always wanted to try drugs ever since I was a kid, and I was super comfortable with it. That's a me thing that I can say is a one me by myself thing, Horror videos and shit, that's also kind of a me thing. I feel like the reason my beats sound so video gamey is because a big thing that influenced me was Y8 games. These tiny things are the things that I look at as bits of me. But there's no real you. You're an undefined creature, bro. Why? Because you're gonna do things. You're gonna do actions and go around the place and live and breathe and have kids and, like, spit on stuff and shit, It's all recoil. So, again, the next time you start, like, fuss into somebody like me for me and all that shit, who are you? Nothing. You're nothing. You're eyes. You are eyes in this moment. And yeah, you are simply eyes in this moment. And I know that sounds harsh, but, like, one really healthy thing to do, I think, is to let go of your ego. Well, no. There's nuance in that. Again, to let go of your ego is to trigger two things. When you let go of your ego, there is the opportunity for so much wisdom, right? Like, you could think about everything so face forward and not be caught up in everything. Like, I once got this advice from my dad where he told me to look at life like you're from above and you're not here where everything's happening to you, but everything's happening around you and you're just there. That way, you don't feel so attacked. The world doesn't seem so impending anymore. And that tiny little shift of perception can change the way that you do your actions. And to me, one of the most important things is your mood, one of the most valuable things. Because your mood is, like, I guess, the filter of your emotion at that moment, right? And then that mood is going to affect everything else that you do. If you're happy and you're having sex, you're probably going to have really good sex. If you're angry and you're going through the drive-thru, you're probably going to be a bitch. You know what I mean? If you're happy going through the drive-thru, you're probably going to try something new. You're going to have a positive outlook on things, basically. Once you can, realize that you're really nothing and that everything, like, you are a human. You choose your values. You choose the things that offend you. You choose how much you care about things. And I feel like, honestly, as a society, we are all masking so hard that none of us really remembers what's, super deep down. And then the people who chase these rabbit holes of self-searching and soul-seeking and all that end up going down some dim paths because they're so desperate to latch themselves onto something. And that is the danger of ego. However, at the same time, ego, in a way, makes life a little bit more fulfilling. Like when you have an ego, it's like you go into a game with an actual like saved data. You know, like an act like things matter. Things hold on to you. Yeah, if you, I guess, let go of your ego, then things will still matter. Things will make sense, but you might be a little checked out of life, just a tiny bit. Like it's not good to really think like nothing matters, because things matter. In my opinion, things that matter is just life continuing, and like in a well manner at that. One of the things that irrefutably matter, kids. The happiness of kids. They're the future. Why fuck with kids? Why mess up anything for kids? Not worth it, honestly. Adults are assholes, but also adults are just kids that got a little older. And that's the truth. Like seriously, none of us matter. The president doesn't matter. He was just born into that family and had that ambition. Doesn't matter. He doesn't matter. His actions is what matter, because he's the brick placed there. It's super weird. It is super weird. Like I like thinking about everything super abstractly and like comparing it to other inanimate objects. And it's a good thing. It's a somewhat healthy thing to do when you're trying to figure out how to conceptualize the world. I used to zone out a lot and try to make sense of stuff, and then I would just have like totally random imaginary shit in my head. Like the other day, bro, I was faded off this mullen leaf blunt, and I'm sitting here, right? Like I don't even know where I was sitting, but I remember like I'm sitting there, and I'm hearing voices in my head. And by the time I catch on that there actually are voices in my head, it's not my voice. I don't recognize the voice, and they're not talking to me. They're talking to each other, and it's like a niche conversation. Like it's about something so specific, you'd have to have been there the whole time. I don't remember what they were talking about, but like as I was following along, things made sense. And then when I realized, like I checked in, like wait, who was that? They just disappeared. So it's weird. Um, yeah. So consider yourself and consider that everybody else is like alive and shit. Now, nothing happened to me to like make me think this. Realistically, I just hadn't made a video in a while, and I wanted to make an ASMR video, but like as creative as I am, I really didn't think of a prompt that I like could sit on and be like, oh yeah, this is the one. So yeah, though. Um, moral of this talk, dude. Like, stop. Don't stop, I would say, but like just go through a little bit more consciously. What are you? You are a bunch of actions. You are ripples that grew arms and legs, and you can fly a bit. So use that correctly, man. Don't be a bitch, and don't fucking put the weight on anyone else and be like, oh, me for me. Because to be real, you can't even fucking define you. If you were somewhere in a room and you had to pick your true self out, and there was like 100 of you from different times, you like all the versions of yourself, or most at least, or else you'd probably have killed yourself, dude. So I mean, like, what is you, bro? You're just a bunch of shit, man. So fucking don't be a bitch and fucking place that weight on anyone else. Make it anyone else's responsibility to carry your values because you can't define yourself, buddy. Be considerate to the rest of the humans, bro. Spread love.